Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I'm actually taking the time to invest in my education. This is one of my tuition reels. I recently found this one at a local flea market, and for a couple of dollars I decided to invest in it to find out what this reel is all about and kind of share that with you. So this is a Ted Williams high-speed number 520 sold by the Sears Roebuck Company. That's what it says on that side. And so as soon as I see Sears Roebuck and Company, I usually like to look around the base here because a lot of the Sears Roebuck reels of this size were made or engineered by Daiwa, and it doesn't show there. But as I read it over on this side, it says made in Italy, patent, and then it has the Sears Roebuck and Company number on the side plate. So I said, geez, I haven't worked on many Italian reels at all. I do remember that I saw some Cito, I think it is, and Orvis had some made in Italy, but I don't remember much, don't know the Italian reel history very well. So I figured I'd pick this up and see what I could do. So it's got a broken bail. That's why I call it a tuition reel. It's probably got no chance of being reassembled there or finding the part for it. This apparently broke a weld or something there. I'm not a welder, but I did notice with the way that this reel is set up that you can easily make this a manual pickup or a PUM reel, P-U-M, which says pickup manually. And I may just go ahead and do that because it appears that this is solid and it's got a good catch to it, and maybe we'll be able to make this work. The cosmetic condition of it is pretty bad. We've got paint that's flaking. We got paint that should flake. As you see over here, there's corrosion. All of the chroming and bright work is worked off the handle. But that doesn't mean I can't take this off and learn from it. Other than the bail, the only defect that I found was that it doesn't have an anti-reverse. And we do have an anti-reverse switch here, but that's not operating. So when we get inside, maybe we'll be able to find out if that's something that can be repaired. If that's something that can be repaired, then I'm pretty certain that this reel can go fishing again. So let's get started and take off some of these external pieces. And as we get started, I like to thank our first responders and essential personnel, everybody involved in keeping us safe during the pandemic, the firefighters, the EMT, the rescue, all the medical workers, and the supply chain folks in transit and teaching and keeping our food stores stocked and everything else that goes along with it. I appreciate everything that you do. Thank you for doing it. Okay, this is just some WD-40. When I get a reel like this, and I know I'm going to be removing screws and the like, I do like to just kind of coat them. I'm never certain if they're stuck or not. A light coating of a penetrating oil, letting it work in, is a good thing for that. I think this handle is this handle is a screw-off handle. It's got a tight knob. Let's go ahead and just use that penetrating oil to loosen that knob up. Generally speaking, it will do that. We have a screw on this side, so if we put a little bit there. And of course, I wear a protective glove, and I've got it on the wrong hand at the moment. I'm kind of working all of this stuff with my non-gloved hand. We'll take those pieces and we'll put them into a parts tray. I use a bottom of a jug as a parts tray, and that'll enable me to keep track of where those parts are. A little bit of mop up here. This can be removed. I have a split screwdriver for that, but I'm thinking we can back this side bail off here. There you go. Looks like we got it started. Screw that out, and now if I remove this, I should be able to slide that off. Well, I can't get it there yet, but I think if this becomes successful, we'll take this piece off and we'll go cover the hole with that piece. And then that case, if somebody ever does find a bail for this, I kind of think that that's near impossible, but if somebody kind of finds a bail for that thing, then we'll go ahead and do that. This is got a rotor cup with an internal spool that is kind of comparable. Here's a reel that was of the same ilk. This one is a Shakespeare, and it has a cup set up as well. The early pen reels, a lot of the reels did it that way. The downside of that one is that the line gets wet and the line the water on the line runs underneath that spool and there's really nowhere for it to go. All right, we've removed the top button. Got a lot of sand in there, so this was probably used in the surf at some point. And this is the problem that you have with that. There's no drain ports underneath here in these cups. The only place it's going to run out possibly is in that bail mechanism, but that becomes problematic in terms of it collecting a lot of dirt, grease, grime, junk, and everything else that goes there. All right, so we've got that off. Let's go underneath. Let's see what this mechanicals are all about. It says it's a high-speed reel. I don't know what high speed was defined at. I'm going to guess this is the 1960s. And Ted Williams, of course, had a great career as a baseball player, and then he went on to do the outdoors shows, and they were sponsored by Sears, and Sears kind of hooked him up to be the brand lead for a lot of their fishing reels, and we've seen some beautiful fishing reels under the Ted Williams brand. So let's open this up, see how the Italian mechanism was. Boy, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. We have a spiral gear driven fishing reel. I'm not understanding why that anti-reverse isn't working. It may just be that it's tight. All right, well, let's continue with this because I want to tune this thing up and see if we can get it fishing again. And when we take some of these pieces and parts out, we may have the opportunity to find out why. But it looks like the anti-reverse spring is set right, and just figure it out. All right, this looks like we have a center pin here that you're going to pull it off to remove the axle shaft, and that's sure enough. This is a good place to tell you if you're unfamiliar with a reel like I am with this reel, then one of the good things to do is take pictures along the way, because if you trust your memories, sometimes it's not going to work right, and then you're going to be stuck trying to put the reel back together again. So take a picture. This is a good critical juncture to take a picture, see how the arm runs, the orientation to the gears, and so on. This is a spiral gear, which is similar to the way that Shakespeare gear was. That axle shaft that slid right out, so that's a good thing. It's not bent or warped in any regard. That'll go into my parts tray as well. And we should be able to remove our main gear and our arm. So this arm is a little stiff. It could be that that's the cause for the sluggishness in the reel, or it could just be the dried grease I'm seeing on the main gear in that. You could take this arm off. Generally speaking, on a reel of this age, you don't need to. There you go. Penetrating oil just loosened that right up. You don't need to do that. You need to clean this reel, and this one's very clean. I think that's probably one of the problems that this reel has had, is that it's just dry. But sometimes you risk breaking off. Now this looks like a stainless screw. Sometimes you risk breaking that screw off in the main gear, and then you're lost. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Just kind of throw caution to the wind there. I'm not sure why this isn't working. Let's try some penetrating oil, just like everything else that seemed to be pretty tight. We have a spring mechanism here, so it should work. And it may just be that it needs a little time. I'm just going to play around with these. Back this off a little bit. Again, this is kind of tuition reel. You're going to learn from it. There you go. Look at that. So that's going to work again. I just backed off the tension on that screw a little bit. Now we have a nice anti-reverse. I want to set that anti-reverse to the off position. When I go to reinstall, it's going to make a difference. And I'm going to pull my attention up top here to this. We want to see if we can get our gear out, and we also want to see if that happens to be a I almost got lucky with that one. 15, it's a 14. We want to see if that's a ball bearing under there, or if that's a bushing under there. Okay, so give me just a moment to locate my ratchet. So you can't use a flat offset box wrench or anything, because you have the lip on this. Okay, so I just felt it break. Let's see if we can continue taking it off by hand then. We can. We should be able to pull the rotor. Look at that big bearing in there. Wow. And it's still spinning nicely. I put the handle back on just for some leverage before. Look at that. It's spinning beautifully. All right, I'm going to try and take those two 2 screws out. I do want to protect myself here. Put a little bit of penetrating oil on there. Make sure that that works well. That's a totally over-engineered ball bearing there. Wow. I need my micro screwdriver on this one. So if you like this kind of video, if you like to learn about fishing reels, if you like to repair fishing reels, or if you just like to see how some of the classics came together, well, then I ask you to subscribe to my channel. I work on all kinds of fishing reels. This one's just what I call a tuition reel. I don't expect to do anything but learn from this. If I can get it fishing again, well, that's a bonus. I kind of discounted this one because of the broken bail and also the cosmetic condition of it, but I like to give reels a second chance. So we can fish that as a manual pickup. I can probably knock some of the paint issues off of this, and we can see what we can do to get that out on the water and give it a test, see how it rides. This one has me a little bit concerned. Oh, I gotta go ahead and take this back off, push that stuff out. Otherwise I won't be able to pull that bearing through. I had reassembled this to help me when I was cranking that out. All right, let's see if we can pull this out now. So I'm not having any success at all breaking this from the case. That's not unusual. We have a steel ring and steel case or pot metal case or whatever this thing is. I'm not at the point where it's critical to take it out. That bearing is spinning. I'm going to let it spin. I'm also going to do something I don't normally do, which is I'm going to pack that bearing with grease. These have maybe only 8 or 9 ball bearings in there. They're kind of almost like an axle bearing on a car. They're very pronounced and they're very large. And I'm just going to go ahead and pack it and take my chances, if you will. Most of the time I prefer to oil the bearings. These are really old school bearings here. And we're just going to pack it, and we're going to hope for the best there. Especially since I can't get it out to tell the character of them. I'm going to just rotate that shaft a little bit there, just to make sure that I can get what I can get in there. All right, I'm going to put the collar back on then. We'll come down and we'll clean up that spiral gear. Now this reel was turning, but it wasn't turning efficiently, and of course it had the broken bail, so this one probably was sitting on the shelf for a while. And when I saw it at the market, the fellow said, well, it's an old reel with a broken bail, consider it a parts reel. And as I said, a lot of times I'll buy these just to kind of explore. So somebody said, you know, did you ever have a Ted Williams reel made in Italy apart, and how do you service it? Well, now I know. I've learned from it, and that's worth the price paid. Okay, we're going to just put this last screw in here. We'll turn our attention to cleaning up the bottom. Do some lubrication on there. And this is a good time to tell you, if you have a question on this reel or any reel in particular, maybe you're stuck doing the servicing of a reel or something, if you want to leave that in the comments section, I will try and get you an answer to that. And I guess I have the other one down too tight. I generally try to respond to them regularly, so leave it. Have a little bit of patience. Patience is part of reel repair. I will try to answer the question for you. And if I don't know the answer, I will tell you that. I won't make up stuff. And if I can point you to somebody who may know the answer, if I don't, well, I'll try and do that for you as well. Okay, finally, me and small screws just don't get along. I think what I'm going to do later, I'm not going to do it for the point of this video, I think I'm just going to knock off these paint flakes here. I'm not quite sure what to do with it once I knock it off. That's fine. This is your bail trip mechanism, but again, we're going to run this as a POOM or a pickup manual reel. We're just going to leave it as it is. I'm going to go back up top here and put that back on. Remember, that nut came off in a clockwise manner, so it's got to go back on in a counterclockwise manner. Not sure how much I'm going to be able to grab this, given that that spiral gear underneath is going to turn. Give it a spin. Well, that's nice and quiet. I mean, there's there's no question that there's burring noise, but it's not terrible. All right. I noticed while I was going through here, as I was spraying all that stuff down, that most of the debris that was on the spiral gear, mostly dried greases, all started coming loose. So I'm just going to brush that off now. Just wipe that brush in my paper towel and get rid of that stuff. So we got a couple of things that actually are working in my favor at the moment. We can save the bail. We've got a nice gear set here, beautifully engineered, quality materials. I think those will last. That little bit of play there, now we have a anti-reverse dog. We took the WD-40 to the knob. That's turning again. So I might just, why not, right? Why not put some line on this thing, knock the old paint off. This isn't going to win a beauty contest. It's not intended to do that. But why not just put some line on it, put it on a pole, see how it does. All right, this gear, you want to get it on the face here because the arm is going to be sliding around on that face. You want to get the grease into the teeth, which you're going to intersect with that spiral gear. And go ahead and install that. We have a bushing on this side of the case. Just got to make sure that that gets in there. Mesh it in with that spiral gear. Come over on this side and let's get that handle back on. This is a handle on a reel that can only be driven from the one side. It's not an interchangeable handle. Give it a turn. I don't want to turn too much without the axle, but it is not jammed or cut in any way on the side plate. Come over and put a light coating of grease onto the axle shaft. Slide that axle shaft through. Line up the hole on that arm with the hole in the axle shaft. Kind of like that. Hopefully you've seen that. Move that up a little bit. So we have a hole in the arm, hole in the axle shaft. Bring that through. And you probably need to square up that hole on the axle shaft so that you can get it into the other side. And again, sometimes it's a little difficult when I'm trying to do this for the camera, so I do apologize. You probably will find this easier than I'm finding it at the moment. There we go. You can push that all the way down. We're all greased up inside. We got a handle. Let's give it a turn. Oh my goodness gracious. What a reel. What a beautiful turning piece. How about some anti-reverse? Let's flip that trigger off. And now we got the anti-reverse. This reel can definitely go fishing again. Wow. All right, I'm going to close up the side here. We're going to go up top and take a look at that spool. Let's see if we can figure out what those drag washers are. Again, this is all part of that quote-unquote tuition reel education kind of thing. But I would tell you, if you're a fan of the old reels and you like the spiral drives on the reels, take a look at this one. This is the first time I've seen this reel, and I've seen an awful lot of reels. That's the first time I've seen this one. And again, made in Italy. I know there are folks out there that watch this channel that probably are better, not probably, certainly are better reel historians than I am. If you can tell me a little bit more about who the manufacturer was and when it was made. I'm going to guess the 60s because that was the popularity of Ted Williams as a ball player and host of that fishing show and everything, sponsored by Sears, as we mentioned earlier. But if you know more about that, I'm always up for learning that kind of stuff, and it makes it fun. All right, I'm just using the penetrating oil to take some of that sand out, act as a cleaner. I'll come back later and I'll do some more here. There's clearly some corrosion and the like. I'll work that off of there. I'm not making this ready for a beauty pageant, but we will do our best to at least get some of the rough spots off that might burr the line or something. There's two slots. There's a big C-clip holding the drag washer in. We're going to see what we got under here. Hold your finger on the spool like this, because this is a spring, and that spring will shoot, so be careful with that. Let's see what we got. So take a picture here. We were talking about taking pictures. We notice that there's a dimpled side. That's going to make some noise as you back off your washers. You got an eared washer in there. Oh boy, we got beautiful, it appears to be leather washers. Could be rubber. That might be rubber. Okay. Second washer. So this is a traditional 3-washer setup. And those washers are like they were made yesterday. Wow. I'm surprised that that one's on the bottom though. So this one, there's no solid bottom to this. Usually it would make sense that you would have a solid washer there. All right. We'll take a note to that. We're going to just kind of clean any dirt that's in there. Again, this is a top drag fishing reel, so there will be a lot of water and stuff that gets in there. And I'm still kind of curious what these are. They're very flexible. I'm almost thinking they are rubber. We're going to put that back in. Same thing, you want to make sure that your drag washers are clean. These are a little sticky, so I'm going to just start easy. If I can do it with a paper towel, I'm going to clean it off with the paper towel. I'm going to go on the assumption that these do not get greased. They seem to be a hard washer of some description. Put the second one in there. Now I have the eared washer. That one always goes in the middle of a 3-stack set. And that's what we have here. Again, just wiping it off. Those go in the 2 channel holes here inside the spool. Make sure that they get in there. I just had an Abu Garcia come in with a drag problem. The drag problem was that the eared washer was not seated properly and bent it all up. Okay, last of these washers. This is the dimpled one that goes up top. And then we just want to put that C-clip back on. Find the channel. There's a channel groove that rides all the way through here. Find it on the one side. Try and keep it out of these 2 holes where the ear washer is. So kind of set it up out of the way like this. And then put one side in and use your hand strength. Kind of circle around to get the rest of it in. Being careful now, because it still is a spring and it still can shoot. There we go. Now, this is a retention ring. It doesn't do anything other than hold these washers in. All right, I'm going to put that back on. Take our button. I guess we could do a little bit to clean some of the stuff off the button. Again, I'll try and do some more cleaning up in a little while. I don't know what I'm going to do with this reel yet. I really don't. It's a mystery. I don't think it doesn't hurt selling it, but right now I think I'll just put some line on it, take it down to the local surf, give it a couple of throws and see how I like its performance. I can tell that it's a well-made reel, that the gearing inside of it is beautiful. Cosmetics, well, the fish don't care what the cosmetics are of a reel. They just care to get off the darn line. All right, that's holding beautifully. All right, so there you have it. This is a Ted Williams high-speed 520 Sears Roebuck reel made in Italy that has some cosmetic wear from the decay over time, but otherwise, you got a little bit of a rub there. So the other thing I noticed on this spool, that I'm sure that rub is just a chipping paint. But the other thing, while we got a moment here, that I did notice, this spool will normally come with almost like a pipe cleaner that sits inside here. There's usually 2 holes. Yep, there they are. There's 2 holes where they mount in, and then if you will, the pipe cleaner comes around there. It's again another sealant to keep the water out, and that's missing. So this reel is far from collectible in all regards. I'm thinking this paint chipping here is probably what's making the rub at the moment. There's another piece of chip paint over here. That doesn't bother me so much because I wanted to learn from this reel, and I've learned a lot. And quite honestly, if I see one of these reels in nice condition with all the features and functions working properly, I might just go ahead and get it just for fun. But that's it. That is a Ted Williams high-speed 520 reel made in Italy, now set up for a manual bail. So how does that manual bail work? Well, you're going to grab the line, you're going to remove it from the bail, you're going to hook your finger, make the cast, and when it's time to crank again after your lure or your sinker or rig has landed, you're going to take the line from the pole, you're going to wrap in this direction, and when you come over here, you're going to wrap it behind that. And then that little catch there and the like is going to keep that line on the line roller and enable you to crank it in. So it's an acceptable alternative when you have a bail that can't be replaced, and it's something that will save the reel and give it a second chance. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, please like it. If you have a reel that needs to be serviced, I do that, and if you contact me by email on the business card that follows, I will be happy to provide you with the repair information. So please stay safe, stay well, stay watching, and have a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.